What is up inside the locker room? We are back with another episode, and let's just get into it. There's a lot of stuff going on this week in the world of sports, but to start, Ramsey has just been traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and our crew is about to give you our thoughts and opinions on that. Adam, what is your thoughts on the Ramsey trade? It's kind of crazy that he finally got traded this late, but
Yeah, he's been linked to Pittsburgh like almost for like a couple of years now. I really just think he just fits in perfectly. He just is just kind of seems like that like Pittsburgh Steelers culture. And I've already heard that they're going to use him in a lot of different spots. He's a really versatile player. He can play in the box, can play all the corner spots. He might even play a little bit of safety. And then they also got Jonnu Smith, which I think is a really underrated part of the trade. So, I mean, Aaron Rodgers always loved his tight ends. Now he's got Pat Fryermuth and Jonnu Smith. So, already had DK Metcalf. Now he's got two other reliable targets. And then we'll see who ends up winning that wide receiver 2 battle between Roman Wilson and Calvin Austin. But if I'm going to pick a winner, I think the Steelers are the winner. But I think it's a really fair trade at the same time. I think Miami gets a great player in Minka Fitzpatrick as well. And yeah, I think it's going to be a good trade for both players, and it ends up being basically like the Minka Fitzpatrick and Jalen Ramsey swap ends up being basically like a 1-year deal, and so if they play really well, they can like end up staying on the roster for like multiple years. But what's your thoughts on this, Deuce?
I mean, I see this like as a pretty like even trade. Like as a lot of people say, you get these are two players like that are I won't say like it's the end of their career, but they're on the decline of their career. They're not as productive as they once used to were.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think this is a fair trade for both sides. Just how I'm because I think both teams have their benefits that they get from the trade, and they have like I'm just gonna say it like this. I like that the Steelers get Jalen Ramsey. I like that they get Jonnu Smith. That's another weapon. The only thing I question just with Jonnu Smith is how is Arthur Smith going to like include him into with the other two tight ends. You got Pat Fryermuth, you got Darnell Washington, two other tight ends that I could believe that could be tight end ones on different teams. If I'm being honest, so it's just my question is how is Arthur Smith going to use all three? But I like this because it takes away from all the attention on DK Metcalf and like you said, Roman Wilson and who's the other receivers they got right
Calvin Austin.
Calvin Austin, and then you could also say Woods if you still count him as a
Yeah,
productive receiver.
still
But
a wily vet.
yeah, and then on the Dolphins side, I like that you get Minka Fitzpatrick back. He's already familiar with the city of Miami. New coach and all that stuff, but at least he's still familiar with the city of Miami. You get a 5th round pick, and then plus they just got what you call it, Darren Waller out of a retirement. It may not be the same as Jonnu Smith, but at least y'all found a replacement for something cheaper. Because I believe that they traded Jonnu Smith just because he was supposed to be getting paid up this next season, and they
Mm-hmm.
weren't trying to pay him all that money because he's going to ask for that money. So I think it was a smart cap space move by the Dolphins. Same with giving away Jalen Ramsey. He's getting paid 21.6 million. I don't think they're trying to pay him that. Minka Fitzpatrick's cap hit is way lower than his. So I think Dolphins cleared up space. They got a returning player. The Steelers got a player that's already going to be a good defensive player that can be added to an already stacked defense. We already know the Steelers are going to be a top defense in the NFL. And you get Jonnu Smith, another offensive weapon. Now, it'll be interesting to see if he lives up to the same expectations he did in Miami because, like I said, there's been times where people go to do new teams and they don't perform the same. But we all hope for the best. I want Jonnu Smith, you know, to do well, exceed well. But I just see this as a very fair trade. But I probably give if if I'm being honest, I probably give the Dolphins a B minus, the Steelers a C plus. I just don't. I think Ramsey's getting paid a little bit too much, and I don't like the Steelers got to pay him that at 32, and you're getting paid 21.6 million a year. I don't like that for a declining cornerback, but
This
you
man,
know, it
I think
just I
David.
think I keep saying I think it's a fair trade, but there's really no more depth I can go into breaking it down. Michael, did you have any thoughts on the trade?
First, I'm gonna give off who won this trade, and I'm gonna go with Adam with this one. I agree. I think the Steelers won this trade. I've always been a big fan of Jalen Ramsey. I think he's a very electric, energy, locker room kind of guy. He gives off that dependable atmosphere that any Steelers fan or Dolphins fan, wherever he would have ended up, Jalen Ramsey is just somebody that you can always use in your defensive back room, and I think the Steelers addressed that. Now, I'm gonna give my positive and negatives for the Steelers. I did some research on this. So basically, the Steelers acquire a premier lockdown, very like I said, electric cornerback in Jalen Ramsey, boosting up their defense and giving them a significant upgrade in the secondary. I heard he was thinking about playing safety or corner, whichever works. I think
He's versatile.
yeah,
he's very versatile.
yeah, he's very versatile. But
He did well on the outside last year, so
exactly. But I think the question is, where would he fit better at? I've never seen Jalen Ramsey play safety, so I don't know. All I know about him was from his corner position, and I think he could really do a Travis Hunter, play both positions, but on defense. I mean, it's possible, but I think this is a big, huge trade for the Steelers, and I think the Steelers are showing that we are capable of winning, but at the same time, can I be honest here? And Steelers fans, I don't mean to be biased, I don't mean to be negative, but we're still, and I hate to keep bringing this up about Aaron Rodgers, but can he still lead you guys? Does he still have it? Because you got good defense, and based off my experience, you can have a good defense, but you can have a bad offense, or you can have a quarterback that just it just determines. Not saying that the offense don't have talent, but at the same time, this is Aaron Rodgers we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Does he still have the physicality? And even though at 41, not saying he doesn't, but that's just a question that you still have to ask. Now, as far as the defense, I'm all for it. I love it. The trade, I think the Steelers won this trade. I'm going to give the Steelers this win on this one. But honestly, that question still remains on that offense. But I think the Steelers actually made a huge step on getting Ramsey. I think Ramsey will be a huge impact on that secondary. But as I always say, it can look good on paper, but it can look bad on the field.
You never know. Yeah. It'd be ironic if they were just 9-8 again.
And I mean, Ramsey is coming already into like a stacked secondary of, Darius Slay, Elliott, Juan Thornton here, Joey Porter Jr. So you got experience, developed secondary, so he doesn't have to worry about taking all the load,
Yeah.
He
can play a little bit bit in the box even. He can play linebacker. He's a good hitter.
Yeah, the secondary is stacked. Like I said, you got Darius Slay, who I'm also
super underrated.
I forgot. Yeah, like he's a lockdown corner that you can depend on. So I'm actually happy for the Steelers that now you're, like I said, your defensive back room is boosted. So I mean, like I said, this ain't got nothing. I'm just saying.
And I know something that I forgot to mention is that the Dolphins did lose Javonte Holland to the Giants this free agency. So getting Minka Fitzpatrick was, a replacement player. They felt the hole. They got rid of Ramsey. That's why I keep saying I would see this as the most even trade. But jumping into the NFC East room, and I'm going to actually let Adam answer this first. What is your thoughts on the Cowboys running back room? It's pretty crowded. You got 5 running backs who can very well all much make the roster. But what is your thoughts on who should make the roster? Who should make the practice squad?
I mean, I've heard that Javonte Williams is getting most of the snaps with the first team. Miles Sanders has been just mixing it a little bit. So, I mean, you got the 2 veterans. Javonte Williams has definitely battled some injury issues over the last few seasons, but I mean, he's still got the potential. He's a good pass catching back as well. So I like Javonte Williams to probably lead the backfield early, but then we got the rookies. They took Jadon Blue in either round 4 or round 5. I really like him long term. His biggest issue is probably his fumbling problems in college, but he's electric with the ball in his hands. He's a really fast, speedy guy. And then you got Phil Maffa, who maybe projects as the long-term power back. Also had a very good college career. 2 really underrated rookies that maybe don't jump off the page at you and didn't have high draft capital, but we've seen it with late round running backs, how many times that they've emerged before. And then You've got Deuce Vaughn, kind of the forgotten man who I don't necessarily think will make the roster, but yeah, it's going to be an interesting backfield to watch because there's 4 or 5 of them. Probably really the 4 that'll be in the mix for serious touches, but probably Javonte Williams to start. But Deuce, what are your thoughts?
Um, well, I'm gonna start with the rookies first.
Mm-hmm.
You got Jadon Blue, Phil Maffa. Phil Maffa, just came off of 1,115-yard season, 8 TDs at Clemson. He's that power back that the Cowboys need. They've had their issues scoring in the red zone in the past years, and I think we really saw this like 2 years ago or last year, when they had just Zeke and Dowdle, and then even when they just had Dowdle and Pollard. So you always saw that they needed a power back, like that AJ Dillon type power back that can just go and score the ball in the red zone. And I think the Cowboys picked getting Phil Maffa is a great pickup for them. But my thing is, I don't know if he'll make the a starting position, obviously, because he's a rookie. He came in the 7th round. It'll be interesting to see that. Also, Jadon Blue, like you said, Adam, he had his fumbling issues in college, but he's still an explosive back. He's a good receiving back, so he's a good dual threat running back. Can run the ball, can find the gaps, can catch the ball. It's all on tape at Texas. Um, I think you're pretty spot on with the nail when you said Deuce Vaughn, the forgotten man. I think he was kind of buried behind all the last 2 years, Zeke, Pollard, and Rico Dowdle. I think since he was just the odd man out, it kind of didn't really work the best for him. We wanted to see him. I mean, coming out the draft, I kept saying maybe this can be the next Darren Sproles 2.0, but it
Everyone
hasn't
will say that.
happened. It hasn't happened. Sadly, I think he's the odd man out. I think the other 4 running backs. I'm gonna get to the other 2 later, but the other 4, like the other 4 running backs, just have a better case to make the roster than Deuce Vaughn. But I wouldn't be opposed to him making the practice squad. You always see players get on the practice squad and then come jump up mid to late season if somebody gets hurt. Now I'm gonna jump into Miles Sanders and Javonte Williams. Miles Sanders, I wouldn't preferably have him start. Either have him as a running back 2 or the running back 3. He just came off a career low year in Carolina, and I just think that wasn't in the best favor of him. I've always questioned the Miles Sanders signing over the Javonte Williams signing, but it'll be interesting to see how they address it. Miles Sanders still has the veteran leadership that they can help these 2 young rookies and Deuce Vaughn learn. So, and then finally, Javonte Williams came 3 years since his ACL injury. He started by saying at camp that he felt good. This is the best he's ever felt. Let's see if that can apply on the field. But he just last year he rushed for 513 yards for 4 TDs. If I had to give my honest 1 through 3 to make the roster, I would go Javonte Williams, Miles Sanders for the start of the season, Jadon Blue. But then eventually, midseason, you go Javonte Williams, Jadon Blue, Miles Sanders, Phil Maffa as the running back for just, if he makes the full 52 man or 53 man, if I
Yeah,
say that
even
right.
if he ends up on the practice squad, that's all
Yeah,
good
that's
too.
all fine. But I just really do think that Deuce Vaughn is, the odd man out. And I hate to say it because Deuce Vaughn is he was my favorite running back in that draft class that we took. I actually wanted him watching at Kansas State. But with that being said, Michael, do you have any thoughts on the Cowboys running back room?
Yeah. So I'm just gonna give a breakdown on short breakdown on each player basically. So I'm gonna start with Javonte Williams. Um, y'all signed him as a free agent. Williams is looking to rebound after a knee injury and less than a stellar 2024 season. I think, with Javonte Williams, I think this will be a bounce back season for him. Like I said, a story of redemption or, road to glory or something like that, whatever you want to call it. But I just think, from an experience standpoint, when a player gets hurt, it's, like, hey, you had an injury, now let's see how you are. Praying that Javonte Williams, that knee, because knee injuries, they don't really heal as quickly. I'm not no doctor, but I can basically tell you that a knee injury, it takes a good minute, especially depending on how bad his knee injury is. Now, I don't know personally, Deuce, how bad his knee injury is compared to me, so I really don't know. But let me ask you this: how is his knee injury?
He was hurt 3 years ago, and I mean, the year after he came back, you definitely saw like a dip in the production. I think he had like 200 yards that year. But last year with Bo Nix, he started to do a little bit better, 500 yards. So he's kind of slowly treading up water. So it'll be interesting to see. Like, it's a new system. He's not with the Broncos. This is the first time in his career he's not on the Broncos. Fifth year, I believe. So it will be interesting just to see how the Cowboys use him. And if the Cowboys use him correctly, he could be, something dangerous if the Cowboys and if he gets back to his form before pre ACL injury.
Yeah. He's still in my opinion he's still a dangerous weapon. It's just the real question here is how is y'all head coach and how
That
it
all plays a factor.
how he going to use Devontae Williams. If he doesn't run the ball, can he be a pass catcher? Can he play as a receiver? Because
he definitely do that for sure.
yeah, definitely do that. He can do it. Alvin Kamara, we use him run the ball or sometimes receiver, but
Yeah, he is most definitely that type of player. But
yeah, he
it's
gives
just
he
it's
gives
just a sucker that he had that ACL injury. But I always say it takes time for people to get back to their true form. You're never gonna see it
Yep.
just exactly the year after. So that's why I have a little bit more hope with this Javonte Williams signing over the Miles Sanders signing, because I still think that Javonte Williams can be a productive back for the Cowboys. Him, Jadon Blue, and Phil Moffitt, I believe those are the three that the Cowboys need.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
with Miles Sanders, seeking a fresh start after a challenge Panthers, I don't think it was challenging. I think it was just more of like they didn't have a good, offensive scheme, and then plus they didn't really have a really good offensive line to where they can use him and he can use his explosiveness. So I think him going to Dallas is actually a pretty darn good thing. It's just like I said, the question here is where do you use him? That's the same thing with Jaden Blue. The rookie running back was drafted 5th round and is expected to compete for playing time. How do you use him? It's so many questions that you can use it in with Phil Moffitt. Another rookie was drafted in the 7th round as depth. Where do you use him? At the same time, it really just determines who is going to make this roster. And the preseason is going to determine that. That's why I love the preseason. I don't care what nobody says preseason. They don't count preseason. It's not as exciting as the regular season. It's not about the excitement. It's about the players that we picked up, who is going to stay, who's going to make our team better, who is going to give us that trust for a key to the future. That's with Dallas, that's with Seattle, Adam, that's with New Orleans. The preseason determines what do we have. Do we have a good enough roster? Do we have good enough players that we can keep? That's what it comes down to. So this whole running back room, and Deuce, I think you can agree with me on this. The preseason is basically just going to determine, what y'all got, in my opinion.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll add is the running game should be improved just because of the offensive line. Tyler Smith has been playing really, really good for that Cowboys offensive line for the last few years. And then now you add a guy like Tyler Booker, who's projected to play right guard. So you have those interior offensive linemen that can really move the defensive line, and then hopefully create some pockets that weren't there for the Cowboys last year. Want to move into NBA?
I'm just going to say one more little thing.
Yeah.
I think that this Cowboys, getting Tyler Booker in the draft to help improve the O-line, and if it works how the Cowboys should think, I think this O-line could be very, very good for the Cowboys. That can help the running backs.
Definitely.
That's what teams need. You need a good O-line and a good running back. I think that helps you score the ball really. And
having an upgraded offensive line.
I always say, like, I remember one of my favorite content creators, he would always say the Cowboys need to run the damn ball. I feel like now they can finally do that, and that's why I keep saying this offseason for the Cowboys, for me at least, was an A, because they tackled all their needs and they added more depth to the position. Now we're debating about who should start for the Cowboys running back room, when last year we were just figuring out who is the Cowboys running back, Zeke or Rico Dowdle. So,
and Rico Dowdle had a good season, 1,000
yes.
yards.
But jumping into our final NFL topic, Travis Hunter just signed a 4-year, $46.65 million contract with the record $30.57 million signing bonus. I'm just gonna get my quick thoughts on that. I think if he deserves it, I most definitely believe he lived up to the hype in college. I will always say this: in college is different from high school. You know, you can be a star, 5-star player in high school, go to college and get beat out by a 2, 3-star. Travis Hunter went to Colorado, Jackson State, and did incredible things. You go to the NFL, you get drafted by the Jaguars, and I believe that's his reward. You get that record signing bonus that we just don't see often. And actually, Michael, I know that you're a Travis Hunter fan. What is your thought about this?
Man, let me tell you something right now. That deal, that is the world's craziest deal in my opinion. This man is getting 5.2. No, he's getting 5.2. He was already getting $5.2 million in the NIL deal, and now he's getting more and more. And honestly, this is huge for Travis Hunter. But at the same time, I want Travis Hunter to like let your production do the talking. Like, even though he's done that in college, he did that in his high school time and stuff like that, no doubt. But money does not mean anything. Contract do not mean anything. I mean, contract might, it's important because it depends on how many years you're going to play, no doubt. But I think what we all need to tell not Shador, but Travis Hunter is, this contract is big for you and your pregnant wife, but at the same time, you need to take this seriously, because all this money that you're getting, if you don't play up to the hype, bro, that's gonna be dead money for Jacksonville. And we all know that none of our NFL teams, whether it's the Cowboys, Saints, Seattle, we don't like dead money because that messes with our cap space. I'm not saying Travis Hunter. I think Travis Hunter is going to live up to the hype. I honestly believe so. But I'm just saying, and I have to throw that out there because, like I said, even though he's done well in college, he did well at Colorado, and he's going to be a huge impact to the Jaguars organization. I think Travis Hunter is the future of Jacksonville, Florida. Jacksonville organization, Jacksonville fan base. This is a step in the right direction. Now, here's another question. Despite of Travis Hunter being on Jaguars, how can you build around that if I'm Jacksonville? Do they have enough firepower to have a season, a good season, a winning season with Travis Hunter? That's the thing, because Trevor Lawrence, he has struggled in the past. But has he developed? Will he develop this year? Because you got a good running back, you got a good receiver. The offensive line, it's decent. But at the same time, is it enough? Is Travis Hunter enough? No, let me take that back. Travis Hunter is enough. No doubt about that. But is this roster enough to not only have Travis Hunter, but to help the Jaguars organization to have a winning season in their first year with Travis Hunter? That's the question he asked.
Yeah, I'll jump in real quick. Trevor Lawrence is definitely like the make or break aspect. Brian Thomas Jr. had a breakout season, even with Lawrence injured. Even Mac Jones balled out with Brian Thomas Jr., so he proved he's QB proof. And so Travis Hunter can just play that wide receiver 2 role. I think he's going to make Brian Thomas Jr. even more efficient, which is crazy. Right. And I mean, they're a team that could surprise. They're a team that could still go like 7-10, but I mean, I think maybe they could end up going like 9-8, maybe pushing for a playoff spot. They're definitely one of those wild card teams, like a big X factor in the NFL. And then I expect a big bounce back year from Travis Etienne now that they've got the rest of the offense solidified. But yeah, no, I think Travis Hunter deserves the money. The biggest thing I've heard coming out of training camp is that all of it, like, he's just a competitor. All of his teammates are just saying how great of a competitor he is on both sides of the ball. I'm sure they were unsure, like most of us, like, can he do it from both sides? Yeah. But Josh Hines Allen has been backing him up and just saying how big of a competitor he is. But now we'll jump into NBA a little bit. And we've got a very special guest joining us from the Lakers room. And also another special guest. We're going to talk a little Lakers basketball and some NBA free agency. Welcome. Thanks for joining. If you guys want to just introduce yourself real quick.
Yeah, what's up, guys? Government name is Malcolm. Thank you guys for having me on. I had a few different monikers in my day. It's probably my second, third podcast. But the Lakers room, sports has always been a real passion of mine. Diehard Lakers fan, and with the journalism, it all adds up. I brought in a friend of mine. His name is Big Chutch. He's actually an artist out in LA, but more than that, he's a huge Laker fan too. And we've been going back and forth the last couple of days, so I brought him on. You can go ahead and introduce yourself.
Oh yeah, man. I'm Big Church. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, bro.
All right. Am I too loud? I gotta step back.
No, you're straight.
You're good.
I'm Big Church. I'm an artist out in LA. Big Laker fan. Big LeBron fan. Big basketball fan. I'm a 3-time fantasy basketball champion.
Let's go.
Yeah. If you need to know my accolades, I got those. But yeah, that's who I am. It's popping, y'all.
So,
So I mean, we got LeBron opting into the $52 million contract. Lakers' first signing was Jake LaRavia. And then now we got the big signing today. So it was perfect timing with coming on and talk some Lakers basketball. We got Deandre Ayton. So now we've got potential starting 5. So I mean, if you wanna start, Malcolm, thoughts on the Lakers roster moving forward? Do you think we can make a run? What are you thinking?
Yeah. I do believe we could make a run. I believed we could have made a run last year. I mean, I didn't believe that when Luka initially got traded. I was more on the side of kind of the analysts who were looking at it from a move for the future perspective, just because, we lost Anthony Davis, and what ended up killing us, like Rudy Gobert scoring 27 points and 24 rebounds in the last game. I feel like if you look back, a lot of people were kind of saying that's what would happen in the playoffs when it came down to it. But the Lakers went on such a run when they got Luka, and then a lot of it was on the defensive end, but it just wasn't sustainable. But I do think that DeAndre Ayton, I would have rather us figure out a way to pry somebody like Daniel Gafford. But I mean, I don't think that was going to happen anyway. I've watched DeAndre Ayton a lot on the Suns. I didn't watch him as much on Portland. Extremely consistent in the mid range. I think he gets the soft label just because he doesn't always do his work in the post. And on top of that, he doesn't finish strong. Like, he might get it right there next to the rim and lay it up rather than tear the rim down, at his size, which is, surprising. But he's consistent. He's been averaging a double-double since he came in the league. He's a good free throw shooter, which was my cause for pause on Nick Claxton, because I'm like, I don't want to watch another Jackson Hayes, and then he's having a great regular season, and for whatever handicap or the next, he becomes unplayable whenever, things get intense. So I actually didn't really want Nick Claxton too much. I feel like DeAndre Ayton might even be an upgrade above that, truthfully, because he's consistent on defense. The only thing I will say, I don't like his games played over the last 2 seasons. I think he's at 55 and 40, but I don't think the Cavs strain was as bad. When you get into the NBA stuff, you start realizing, like, behind the scenes, they probably knew they was gonna get rid of him and go in another direction. So they probably said, just don't come back. But I'm excited about the moves. I think the Lakers will have a chance to make a run for sure.
You want to chime in there? Is it Big Church?
Big Church, yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that there's a lot of concern about people saying that he's soft. I think that sometimes he should be a little bit more adamant on defense, but I think that he's made a lot of good defensive plays over the time, especially his time with the Suns. I think one of the biggest factors about it is that he is like a decent lob threat, because when Chris Paul got onto the Suns, that's when they started making the playoffs. And obviously they made the move for DeAndre Ayton before that, but then I think introducing that lob threat is really like what changed a lot for that franchise. So I think that could do a lot for being that they have 2 incredible playmakers on the Lakers. That'll be right there. Jackson Hayes was supposed to be something like that, but he just, I don't know, he has a bad temperament problem. He's bad off the court. He's bad, not that great on the court. He's gonna get teched up in like the first quarter. So like it's not really a great move. So I think that was one of the better moves for a center that I would have liked to see. And I like that it was like sneaky, because a lot of people don't really like to make plays or make moves for the Lakers. If you haven't noticed that, like, it's almost like they're cursed. So nobody wants to touch him.
Yeah, like they might have held Ayton just to keep him from going to the Lakers.
Played so badly in Portland, they let it happen, and I'm so happy that they let it happen, because I think with a little bit more structure and regiment, because a lot of his concern has been like off the court, or not off the court, but like in the locker room, and also like just being like kind of checking out on court. I think that they should be able to keep him on there. I mean, when you're playing with the GOAT, like, you kind of got to show up. You have
Yep.
to. You just
Yeah, I
have to.
think LeBron will steer him straight for sure.
Yeah.
Be the man.
And if I could add on to that,
Yeah.
he does have slight motor issues. That is one thing I have noticed with Deandre Ayton. But from watching him in Phoenix, if you got somebody like Chris Paul, who, don't get me wrong, Chris Paul, I don't know where you guys have him in all-time point guard rankings, but he's up there. Luka
he's up there.
Doncic is, I mean, he's a point guard, but what, he's 6'8", something like that. He turned Jackson Hayes during the regular season last year to, I think he was leading the league in like field goal percentage for a while, but it's really just off of Luka. Luka's going to pretty much put it there, and Ayton can finish. Even if he don't finish the way you want to, he's a good finisher, and he's got great hands. Let me throw that in there.
Right.
Yeah, no, I'll say with Jackson Hayes, he looked so good. Even defensively, he was one of the highest defensive rated centers going into the playoffs, and then just kind of looked like fool's gold in the end. We just got exposed by the Timberwolves. But I think Ayton, like Big Church said, he's just a great lob threat. And I mean, that was Luka's number one request when he got onto the Lakers last year, was just get me that lob threat. Because I mean, he's like the best player at playing at his own speed. And like his deceleration metrics are off the charts. So just like, he doesn't run, he doesn't go fast, he doesn't dribble fast, but like just playing at any speed and just having that lob threat is going to be huge for him, I think. And yeah, I mean, now we've got Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves, Rui, LeBron, and Deandre Ayton. It's a solid starting five now. I mean, the motor issues that was definitely good to mention that there. So maybe like Jackson Hayes maybe can still play that role off the bench of just coming in and just like motoring around, because I mean, at least he's a good hustle player. And then Jake Laravia, I think it's Laravia. I mean, he's just like that kind of like lanky power, or not power forward, but forward. And he can knock down a 3-ball too. So I mean, it's another guy that can stretch the floor, and I'm excited to see like that scrappy defensive element. And after losing Dorian Finney-Smith, it was sad, but it did open up these two mid-level exception players. And
so maybe Rob knew what he was doing. Like, it really turning DFS to those two.
Yeah, and like I wanted Walker Kessler so bad, but at the same time, now we didn't have to give up Dalton Connect, we didn't have to give up Reeves, and now we're able to just get Ayton with a mid-level exception. And then it can be kind of like a prove it deal. And if the Lakers go on a run this year, and maybe we can end up signing him for a couple more years, or I think it is a 2-year deal, but it's like 2 years, $16 million or something. So with the NBA money, that's nothing crazy. But Deuce, did you want to chime in with any thoughts?
I'm gonna give like my quick thought on this real quick. I watched Jackson Hayes, like watching Jackson Hayes last year in the regular season. You'd have thought the Lakers would go into the postseason, make it to the conference finals, championship finals, if I can say that right. And just watching him, I think it took me one game to watch him in the postseason to be like, this is not it. We're not gonna win. Rudy like back against us on that game 5, the final game. So I think we went into the offseason like, hey, center is the position the Lakers need, and we knew that all season really. But I thought Jackson Hayes could get the job done just for the season. But this offseason, like you said, I wanted Walker Kessler, but at least we didn't have to trade for him. Got Ayton, and Addy, remember how I told you when I saw the reports that Ayton could possibly be a Laker and DFS didn't resign? I was like, maybe this is what Rob wants. You get rid of DFS and you bring in 2 centers. So lose somebody, but you gain 2, centers, and you still got Jackson Hayes on the roster that can still be productive. So I most definitely think that this is a team that can compete and contend for a title. I'm gonna keep saying that. I think it's the top 3 team in the West, and I like that. I love that Luka and DeAndre Ayton are already familiar with each other. They got the same agent. So I think they have a little bit of chemistry, and that can show on the court. And I think this is going to benefit from the Lakers. Lakers point. But the West is a tight race. You got the Rockets, you got the Spurs, you got Dallas. Every team in the West you could have a case to make the playoffs. So it'd just be interesting to see how this Lakers roster turns out.
The West is locked. The West is definitely.
It's just
Wild, Wild
nowhere
West.
that you can nowhere compare that to the East right now. The West is just like you keep saying the wild, wild West. That is a tough. Any team could possibly be a 1 seed. Like you could have a 6 seed as a rig that could really be technically a 1 seed. So
Right.
Yeah, I think it's going to be like Thunder and Rockets leading the way. The Rockets moves they've been making are pretty crazy. Yeah, bringing in Finney Smith, getting Clint Capella. I know I'm missing one
Kevin Durant.
person. I mean, yeah, obvious. Yeah, definitely Kevin Durant for sure. Which like people, they hate on his defense, but other than Amon Thompson, he was the number 2 player for opposing field goal percentage when he was like the primary guarder. So I mean,
wow.
and then he's a walking 50, 40, 90. He's scored 25 points. So I mean, now you have that go-to fourth quarter score. So I mean, I think the Rockets are going to make some serious noise. Thunder got to be the favorites. I mean, they have so many first round picks on the roster already, like Aaron Wiggins and what's his name? Forgot for the other guy, but they're making huge impacts and just kind of the guys that just have to step up at any time and when you're not getting many minutes. So really impressive the way the coaching staff was able to keep them all ready. And then they're going to add Nikola Topic next year as well, who didn't he's supposed to be a top prospect and didn't play at all. So I mean, you're adding all of that pedigree to an already championship roster. So I mean, I think they got to be the team to beat. But I think the Lakers could be a sneaky team to get that 3, 4, 5 seed. And yeah, I mean,
I most definitely think that like they needed that consistent center. You know, Aiden has averaged 14 and 10, or he averaged 14 and 10 last year, but he's averaged a double almost all of his career. Let me say that. So that's what the Lakers need. They need a consistent guy that can show up when they need it. Now he does have his flaws, you know, but you can work on that. And let's hope the injury bug doesn't hit him because you know he has had that issue in the past few seasons. But I like this pick for the Lakers. In fact, I love it.
I love it too. Yeah, that was perfect.
I'm gonna say this firsthand. Based off experience with Jackson Hayes, you know, he was on the Pelicans for a good minute, and he was actually a pretty decent draft pick. He gave good defensivity, he gave good rebounding, but when it came down to, you know, needing him the most, he wasn't there. And I'm just gonna, you know, tell y'all this now that, you know, Jackson Hayes was really just a boost for a temporary boost. And I'm gonna say that respectfully, because like I said, you know, Jackson Hayes, he's a good player, no doubt, but he's not that player you can depend on when it comes down to playoff time. I'm just gonna say that respectfully. But I think this pick that y'all got with Ayton, I actually like it because one, it gives y'all an elite core. Two, it gave y'all offensive poise. And then plus with Ayton's potential, you know, he's a 7-foot guy at the age of 26. I thought he was a lot older than that. I thought he was like,
yeah, he's still pretty young.
He's 30. When you look
like
at him,
6 years in the league.
That's what I'm saying. He's 26, which is kind of crazy, but he still has potential to develop. And then plus, you know, I'm also add this out there: improvement title odds. You know, like, you know, odds makers have slightly increased the Lakers' odds for winning the championship after Ayton signing. So the championship push is definitely there. The defensive consistency. Ayton still has that defensive effort, intensity. He has that physicality. But at the same time, I just spoke with a person on Facebook about this. Despite of the signing, you know, with LeBron, I think LeBron is like 40 now, and he's going to be 41 at some point.
Yeah.
Going into year 23, never happened before.
Right. The main question here is, despite of LeBron's age, will Ayton give that scoring possibility? Because one thing I've noticed that LeBron, he still can score, but there are gonna be times LeBron's gonna be like, "Hey, you know, pass you the ball, do what you got to do." You know, like I can think back to man, he passed the ball to somebody and he told him to shoot or whatnot, and he shot
ACP.
it. Yeah, ACP. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Lakers champion 2020.
That's what I'm saying. It's really going to determine, can Ayton score the ball? Rebound is good, defense is good, but at the same time, how's that shooting percentage? How's that free throw percentage? That's the thing that, you know, as the Lakers organization, because I believe all you guys are Lakers fans on here, right? The thing, like I said, can Ayton score the ball when LeBron can't? Because LeBron is not going to be trying to do all that, you know, do all that scoring. Like I said, you know, he's at 41. He still is in good shape. But Ayton's going to have to develop on that, you know. Yeah. And I'm
Can I
gonna say
respond to that?
Jackson Hayes.
Yeah,
Jackson
yeah,
Hayes,
go ahead.
You go first. I got something.
Yeah, this is what I'll say real quick. And I want to touch on Jackson Hayes before I get into what I was going to say. So Jackson Hayes, I feel like raw talent, but I feel like the playoffs exposed his lack of basketball IQ and awareness.
Exactly.
And then once his confidence got stripped, he was gone. He was done. And that's why I don't know what he's even going to do as a backup. Like, but I don't know if you guys, how closely you watch the series. By the time game 3 and he played about 4 to 5, 7 minutes somewhere, and he did that goaltending when the ball was clearly coming down, I said, oh yeah, he's fried.
Yeah.
He's fried.
Yeah.
He doesn't even know what's going on out here no more.
Yeah.
But what I'll say is about what you were saying. If we even plan on trying to rely on LeBron James, we cooked. We cooked for sure. Because I think LeBron, like how we watched the game 3, I'm going to bring that up again, where he went off for 38 and he's just going off, hitting it from everywhere. Can't miss. But in the fourth quarter, where does he go? Because that's when the age is going to show. No matter what statistic
Exactly.
LeBron puts up, if you watch him in all of these fourth quarters and intense games, he's not the same LeBron that he is the first 2 quarters. That's just something that I've noticed.
Yeah, he's still in good shape because if you saw the video, he was going from each end of the court, dunking the ball. He's still in good shape. But at the same time, you cannot depend on him. He's 40. He's up in his 40s now. So you can't depend on him.
I think
Shots get a little shorter. Like, go ahead.
For me, I really see this more as of Luka's team now than LeBron.
Yep.
I think LeBron he's the number 2 now. Luka's number 1. And as a LeBron fan, I hate to admit that, but LeBron, this could be his last year, but I see him as he's the number 2 option this year. Luka is your number 1 option. I think
Luka is y'all's secret weapon. Put it like that. Luka is y'all's secret weapon. Basically.
I really believe that if we're going to win like a series, we're going to win more out of effort from Luka than out of LeBron. And just like you said, LeBron, you see that at the end of the games, like a LeBron getting tired. I never forget. I watched the Lakers play the Celtics in overtime, and it was when Anthony Davis was on the team, and they were doing amazing. They got to overtime, and Anthony Davis and I'm gonna say more of LeBron just looked tired, And that's why they lost that game. And, year 23, your age definitely catches up to him. And yes, he is in shape. But like you said, your age is always going to show no matter what. In that fourth quarter, when you get gassed.
Always wins.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I got
you want to jump in there, Big Church?
Yeah. The Jackson Hayes thing. I saw him live. And, he got kicked out like the first quarter because he was just arguing with people and stuff. Like he's not poised at all. Like he cannot handle big like situations. And Deandre Ayton, he's been to the finals before, so he has experience. Now another thing, Deandre Ayton, is that his stats obviously went down when he went to Portland, but a large part of that is because of his usage rate. His usage rate went down. He didn't have really good chemistry with those people. So I think you're saying like, can we like LeBron's gonna need to dish it out to somebody. If they turn up Deandre Ayton's usage rate, then that's great. Like he needs to be on a team with people who pass more, who aren't just going to be a bunch of ISO superstars. I mean, like,
true.
Can't do that, but like that's going to give. I think if anything, that's going to give Deandre Ayton the confidence that he needs to show up, to turn up his motor, because he's actually going to be used more. They're going to need him. He was on a stacked Suns team. He's on a garbage Blazers team. Like there's not a lot of motivation. There's motivation on the stacked Suns team, but I'm sure and he's young at the time. He's probably learned from that. And this is giving him a chance to have a resurgence and turn up his usage percentage. And I think that he should flourish in this situation overall.
I think he got a bad rap in Phoenix, truthfully. Like, I think he got a bad rap. I think he outplayed what people act like he did. And I'll just leave it on this because I still want to go with what my boy Michael was saying. Deandre Ayton is a consistent shooter up to like the mid-range. Even on the Suns, he used to take some threes. But that mid-range, he'll hit all day long. All day long, bro. I'm telling you, it's crazy.
He had about like 30% from 3 before his drop-off on the Suns.
And that's good for a center,
Yeah, it's not bad.
I'll live with that. 30%.
Yeah, and I like you mentioned playing with a bunch of ISO players. So I mean, yeah, you're playing with Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, 2 of the biggest ISO players, like percentage-wise, in the NBA. So I mean, it's not like he checked out, but like it takes you out of the game a little bit. So I think playing with Luka and LeBron, two guys that love lob threats, 2 guys that'll take a guy off the dribble and then are always looking for that extra guy to pass to or looking for that lob threat. It's gonna be wonders for him because Jackson Hayes, he looked like, I will never say he was an all-star, but he was playing at like a all-star caliber level for a couple games there. And it was purely just because
bucket parlay, Jackson Hayes.
Yeah, exactly. It's like purely because Luka's going down. He's getting the double team, drawing a bunch of defenders, and then oh wow, there's a center wide open. Why not just throw it to him? But
Jackson,
Malcolm, you wanted to add on to something that
Yeah,
Michael was
the
saying?
only thing I'll say for real, because I really do believe the Lakers are a contender, but like I said, I believe they were one last year. But now this roster is heavily upgraded. I felt like prior, if we would have had to trade somebody away like Dalton Connect, I would have wanted to bring Reeves off the bench because we honestly got enough scoring in the starting lineup. I would
I like
insert
that.
somebody like Bando in here, so a game wrecker or something. But now that we got to sign Ayton and Laravia without actually trading, so we still got Connect on the bench, got scoring. Now at this point, I'm like, okay, if our IQ is what should take us over in the playoffs. That's why LeBron and Luka, when they first came together, it looked like it worked like magic because they just got so much more basketball IQ than everybody. Now that the roster got some continuity, and then if we do end up still having Jackson Hayes as our backup, even though he is the raw talent, I feel like we got enough IQ in that starting lineup and just throughout the roster to where, I mean, OKC's a favorite for sure. I would put Houston firmly behind them in the West right now. I don't see how you could put anybody else. And honestly, truthfully, it'd be hard for me to say that we're better than Minnesota right now, but we're firmly up there.
yeah.
Oh, that's a fair point.
Hey, this
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, my bad. Was somebody going?
Oh no, that's you.
No, go ahead.
I'm just gonna say this right quick. Despite of it being a good signing with Deandre Ayton, also another question I want to add is he fully past the injury prone stage? Because even though he's 7 foot, but we can all agree that when a center is 7 feet, they normally have like a lot of knee injuries, a lot of hamstring injuries. So like I said,
injuries,
even though it's good on paper, I am not disagreeing with that. But at the same time, if he completely 100% healthy to play at least, now I'm not expecting him to play every game, but he needs to be at least there for the majority of the season. You can't be missing half the season because, like I said, he's a big addition to that starting lineup with LeBron, Luka, and all of them. But if he is injury prone, that's gonna cause a lot of red flags with me, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna cause a lot of red flags for y'all. But yeah, that's the main question: is he past injury prone stage? That's
I want to ask: do we still have Maxi Kleber?
I think we do.
I
we
think we
just
do.
still got Cleveland.
I heard him in trade talk, so he's still on the team too.
I mean, we might be able to throw him in there every once in a while.
Yeah, that's funny that we threw him in Game 5 because he's right. Who knows what Maxi? I don't know.
It's true. Yeah, I mean, he can knock down a three. Yeah, he does a little bit of everything. Yeah. Well, and I like that. Sorry, go ahead. Okay. I like that Malcolm threw in Jared Vanderbilt too, because when we got him on right around the trade deadline 2 years ago, he was playing like a man possessed on the defensive end, and like he truly looked like one of the better wing defenders in the NBA, and he can almost match up on anyone too, similar to Alex Caruso. Boy, do I wish the Lakers still had him and re-signed him after the 2020 run, because we might be talking about a different recent last few years, because he's one of my favorite players, honestly. Love to watch the guy, but maybe now that we don't have Dorian Finney-Smith, now that we have Laravia with Vanderbilt, maybe they just kind of form that dynamic duo of wing defenders. And I mean, can never have too many of them too. So maybe we still add another one. I'm not sure. I know the 3-and-D's been going crazy, so everyone's been grabbing all of them. But Gabe Vincent's another one that's kind of underrated, who people are saying get rid of him. But like, he's an underrated defender, like when he's out on the 3-point line as well. But go ahead and jump in there, Malcolm.
Real quick, I'll be honest. I feel like at our best last year, 2 names that don't get a lot of credit was Jordan Goodwin and Jared Vanderbilt.
That's what I was
a huge reason why the Lakers were ranked number 1 in defense for a while. Like,
I definitely agree.
Yeah, Goodwin is nice. He is super nice. I think that usage needs to be turned up like at least 2-3-fold, because he can really knock down shots, especially like he's almost like a Bruce Bowen, like, you know what I'm saying, like.
True.
Yeah,
small Bruce Bowen. I can see that. Yeah.
and he upped his 3-point percentage to I think like 30%, 36%, which is like career high for him. So I mean, he's definitely that, like, once upon a time was like a two-way player, but he really proved something last year. Do you want to jump in there, Deuce? I had one more topic I want to jump into skinny Luka MVP, but you go ahead.
I was just going to say, I really do like the fact that y'all like that we did not have to trade, because I had a feeling that we were going to have to give up our young pieces, Dalton Connect, first round picks, maybe Austin Reeves, And I feel like we didn't use Dalton Connect a lot towards the end of the season. You know, he's one of the players that I want, one of the rookies I want to see more on the court. I think now that we have him on the roster, we can still get to see, because he had his flashes last year, you know. So we still get to see him on another young piece on the roster. We don't have to give a young piece away. You know, Lakers have had their issue, you know, in the past. You know, they don't really, I would say, since LeBron has been there, not really targeting in the draft. You know, they've been getting more free agents and stuff. I like that they get to keep their young pieces, because after Braun retires, this is Luka's full. He has the full keys to the team now. You got young pieces around him. I love it.
And one player I'll add that we haven't mentioned before we talk maybe skinny Luka MVP hype, Bronny James. Like, I already heard over the last month that he's going to be a part of the rotation. Maybe that changes a little bit with the Laravia signing, but like, he's another guard that can come off the bench. And I hope we give him like 15, 20 minutes, because he started to show something towards the end of the last year.
Agreed.
It just depends on you get.
Go ahead.
If you give the young brother like time to develop, he's gonna give you what you want. You know, let's not forget, Bronny is still skilled. He's still quick. He still has the dribble moves. LeBron taught him good. You know, from father standpoint, Bron, you taught him good.
And I heard KG compare him to like a young Kobe Bryant, like the way he moves around the court. Like, I won't go that far, but like, if KG's saying it, like, I'll listen to it. Like, that's
give him a few,
praise.
Give him a let him get in the rotation a good amount of time. I think he'll get
15,
adjusted,
20 minutes.
just like he did in the G League. You know, he adjusted faster than anybody expected. You know,
25 and 5 in the G League, like, that's serious numbers.
So you put him in that Lakers rotation, let him get his reps. I think in no time, by midseason, you got a solid rotational player. At least by the end of this season, you got a solid rotational player. I've always been high on Bronny, you know.
Agreed.
And what he did in the G League just backed up the talk, you know, even more he can manage in the NBA. If you can score on, we don't see a lot of G League players scoring on Giannis nowadays, right?
I was gonna say, if you can take Giannis off the dribble, you can do anything.
That's facts. He did do that. He did. What I'll say is KG need to pick another name, but
yeah, right.
I did watch Bronny, and I feel like it's crazy. The last clip I posted right before I jumped on here with y'all was Jovan Buha at the Lakers facility, and Bronny was talking about he was nervous last year, and that's all I seen at the beginning was just a lot of nerves. Truthfully, he's got the raw talent, he's got the size, he's got the explosion. He's got some sort of court vision. He's got good handles. He's a great defender, a great defender for his size, for sure. So yeah, I think if he plays like he played on South Bay, in control, and not only was he scoring, he was facilitating, then yeah, we're gonna have a new Bronny James this season.
Nervousness is expected. And you know, but
I would the James last name on your back.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this last thing, but I'm gonna say this to the audience, bro. What y'all gotta say about Bronny now? Y'all say it.
Stephen A, where you at?
You know what I'm saying? That question. Y'all are all talking about, Bronny's only made to the NBA because his dad, he don't have potential. You saw what he did in the G League, right? Now, what y'all gotta say now? I mean, he's gonna be on the roster. He has talent. He has the physicality.
If you make it to year 2, then that means you showing something for sure. Yeah. What you think, Chuck?
I just think you 20 minutes with the ball in his hands, he's gonna give you 20 points at any given moment. He's the fastest player on the court at any given moment.
He's
like,
super.
Just watch him. He's faster than everybody on the court. Like, I saw him live. He was just faster than everybody. It's crazy. He's moving like a flash. Like, he just needs to, get comfortable. He needs to just have the ball in his hand. He's the type of player you put the ball in his hand, regardless of whether he's the one scoring. Something good's probably gonna happen. He's either gonna get to where it's supposed to go. He just needs to get comfortable. That's all it is. And
I just don't know how many minutes gonna really be there for him though. But yeah, I'm excited to see.
Yeah. Saying like 15, 20 minutes. Yeah, like maybe that changed with the free agents they got now. But I mean, you're mentioning that defense. Like, that's just another 3-and-D player. Like, he does look like he has that 3-point stroke at times towards the end of the season. And after those big G League games, I know there were some players out, but it's like one of the only games he got like serious minutes. And I think he had like 17 or 20 points or something in the NBA. So, I mean, there's a lot of potential there. But I mean, final topic, unless someone else has something else after this. We got skinny Luka. We got him motivated. Thanks to Nico Harrison for motivating the guy. Big shout out to him. And I mean, I've seen him locked in the gym. I've seen a lot of videos of him over the last few weeks. He looks very, very motivated. Looks like I mean, you could have given him MVP many other years where he's had like 28, 7-7, or even closer to like
34.
30, yeah, like 34, 10-10. Like he's been robbed of the MVP. He's been like top 3 many years, but now that it's truly his team, LeBron maybe can play some more off ball. But I mean, that's another interesting thing is if him, Reeves and Luka, if LeBron, Reeves, and Luka they're all ball possession players, so that's still going to be something that they're going to have to work through. But thoughts, Malcolm? Do you think Luka is a favorite for MVP, dark horse for MVP?
I think he's the favorite, and for a couple of reasons. Obviously, for the reason that you said, him being motivated, him getting back into shape. But I also think the business of basketball is lining up for him to be MVP. His first full season in LA, he's gonna be on TV more than anybody else. I think even like stuff with like the Jordan, they're just gonna make a big push for Luka to be MVP, and his play is never gonna dissipate. So he's gonna be somewhere around the 30-point near triple double. Jokic fatigue has already started with MVP. I don't think they want to give it to Shea anyway. Anthony Edwards is probably who he's going to be his biggest competition. I see it either going somewhere to like, or at least them wanting it to go to. Now, obviously, a lot of things can happen in the season. It could go anyway. But I would say as a betting man, if you're somebody who got $100 to just go put on some future bets, I would absolutely put that on Luka, the MVP. His first season in LA, Luka is going to turn into a mega star. He might have already been one, and he already played in the Lakers a little bit. This the full season, it's gonna be a whole different story. Like Luka Christmas Day in LA, dropping shoes like Kobe. Like, oh, it's gonna be turned up this year.
I got a wild take for MVP. Honestly, I think that Anthony Davis might mess around and show up. I think he might because he got the keys to Dallas, and Dallas got a lot of good pieces, but
and Kyrie down.
To gravitate around Anthony Davis, and if he stays healthy, he's going to be able to show up without sharing the load with somebody like LeBron, or even before when he had to share the load with DeMarcus Cousins. He had to share that in New Orleans. Like back in the day, people forget like he was putting up like 30 and 20, like close to that, like back-to-back games. Like he was dominating, and that's why they brought him to LA, and then he had to share the load with LeBron. This is the first time we're going to see him after that.
Hey, Cooper Flag might win Rookie of the Year and MVP before MVP.
Yeah, that's what I'll add. It's like LeBron's like for years, probably for like 5 years now, has just been wanting to take that backseat as he's been getting older to Anthony Davis when he joined, and now definitely with Luka. But the problem with Anthony Davis was he would show up with those 30-10 game or 30-20 games, even with like 3-4 blocks. And then the next game, you're expecting him to do it again, and it would be like, all right, why is he got 12 points in the 12 quarter,
yeah,
and like 4 rebounds, and he's got the 2 blocks, but like, where's he at? So I mean, and then you have the injury issues too. So I mean, in some ways, like I think Ayton can really be that great scorer because I mean, if Hayes was putting up like 15-20 point games, I think we can be looking at a lot of like 20-10 games from Ayton, and he does not need to put in that much effort. Even as long as he's conditioned well enough to run the floor, he's just going to get easy scoring capabilities. And yeah, I mean, for me, yeah, Michael said he had to go take care of some more. Oh no, never mind, he's still here for now. But yeah, Deuce thoughts on that? For MVP?
I as of right now, I wouldn't say he's the confirmed, like the true favorite to MVP, because I still have SGA and Anthony Edwards as the other two people that he's going to be competing with. I think those are the 2 best competition that he's going to go with. But I like what y'all said. This is his first season with the Lakers. I'm not first season, with first full season with the Lakers, right? And it's different when your first full. He's not having to adjust to a new rotation, a new lineup, any of that. So he has, and like y'all keep saying, he played the end of the season with the Lakers. He's familiar with the team. In no way should I think that he's like set to not succeed with a full season under the Lakers, So I most definitely think that he will be at least a top 3 candidate to finish in MVP voting. It just by midseason, I think that's when I'll fully have like a thought of who this is my clear favorite to win. And I like how you mentioned Jokic is that MVP fatigue is starting to show. So
yeah, that voter fatigue is real. Like Giannis could have won it for many years. LeBron, you could make an argument for like a 10-year span. Yeah, it's like the voter fatigue is very real. I wish it wasn't a real thing. Because I mean, yeah, you could have given it to Jokic. He put up another like 30-point triple-double season, which like it's happened I think he did it the year before, and that was pretty much ever. He upped his numbers from his MVP season. So, I mean, you could have made the argument he deserved it again. But
exactly.
I like my Canadian brethren, SGA, getting it. And, I mean, I've been looking for that, like, Kobe-like player since Kobe left the NBA. And, like, at points I was like, maybe Devin Booker, but no, he doesn't have the defense. Anthony Edwards was who I was thinking for a while. But then he just disappeared in that series against the Thunder when I wanted him to step up, and he was like, oh, I was making the right play. But, like, Kobe Bryant would have just ran through the double team, knocked someone on his ass, and it would have got everyone riled up. It would have, like, antagonized the entire team in a good way, got the crowd going. And Anthony Edwards, I mean, he led the NBA in most 3-pointers made last season. So, I mean, he does have the 3-ball, but I mean, I really, really like SGA now as, like, because he's got it on both sides, and he's around the same size as Kobe Bryant. He's not quite as built as Kobe Bryant, but as far as, like, you literally turn on the tape, and I've seen a couple people with some edits just, like, comparing Kobe Bryant and SGA, and they almost look like carbon copies, some of the moves they make. So, I mean, shout out to SGA for really looking like a true legend and a top 5 player for me all time.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah. Do you think that they'll give it to him again? Do you think that he might have already amassed some voter fatigue from almost getting it the year before and then getting it this year?
I think it just kind of boils down to, like, the numbers at the end of the day. If you have a guy like Luka that's matching him on the numbers side, then you got to look at the win-loss record. But at the same time, SGA's got so many good other players on his team. So if you have Jalen Williams and you have Chet Holmgren really stepping up next year and putting up, like, 20-point, close to 10 rebound seasons, then you can look at it and be like, okay, well, he's a great player, but is he deserving of the MVP? Because sometimes I like to look at, like, who's that one player that's lifting up the team, like, more than anyone, and if you remove that player from the team, like, how much worse would they be, basically? But any final thoughts, anyone, before we wrap up the NBA section?
Nah, the fans want to vote for Luka. But nah, thank y'all, man. This has been fun. Anytime, for sure, man.
Definitely.
Appreciate you joining us. Yeah, no, thank you so much. And yeah, let's do it again sometime soon.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, you guys put this on YouTube or just send it over to me. Let me know. I'll clip up some stuff.
Yeah, for sure. We can do both. It's live on YouTube and Instagram right now. And we'll get it posted right afterwards. We don't really edit it as much anymore. Quick on the NFL
stuff I heard y'all talking about. No, Aaron Rodgers does not have it anymore. Aaron Rodgers didn't have it last year whatsoever.
I don't think so either, but I mean, I don't know. We'll see.
One more. If Travis Hunter don't come through like Jalen Ramsey came through, then what is he really doing? Jalen Ramsey had Jacksonville, a play away from the Super Bowl?
Because I don't think Jacksonville want dead money, because this is a lot of money that they're giving you. So if they give you this amount of money, if I'm getting like $5.2 million, oh, bro, I'm finna ball like crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Now, y'all NFL knowledge is crazy. So, that was fun to listen to, man.
I appreciate you. Yeah, I'll say about Travis Hunter, it's like I've never seen a harder worker ever in NFL history. Like, to play that amount of snaps, even in college on both sides of the ball, is crazy. And he was like the top student at his school too. So, I mean, it just shows the ball knowledge, the real IQ, the basketball, or not basketball, the NFL IQ. And I've already seen him make some crazy plays as a DB, like just staying with whatever receiver and then just making one-handed catch, like pulling, like cradling into his body. And he's catching without gloves on. Like, the man can do everything. For me, it's just going to boil down to, can he stay healthy? How many snaps are you going to give on both sides of the ball? I'm heard it's going to be offense first, and then it's going to be defense secondly. So, I mean, we'll see. It's going to be, I think, maybe give him like 200-300 snaps on defense, and then like hopefully like over 500. But like when you get into that 800 snap territory, that's when you start talking about injuries, especially for a smaller guy.
This is the NFL stage, so there are going to be a lot of good route runners. There are a lot of shifty receivers. Travis Hunter going to be lined up with a lot of good players. My thing is, can he adapt? Even though, yes, he did good at Colorado, at the same time, this is the NFL we're talking about. It's a whole different ball game, whole different atmosphere. Can he develop? Because he's going to be, like I said, he's going to be lined up with some really, really good fast receivers and some shifty route runners. So it's just going to boil down to, can he adapt? I think he can, but the preseason is going to help determine that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's another thing you said. You was like, people say preseason ain't entertainment. Preseason not for the fan. Preseason is for the teams. But I'll let y'all go. But I'll tell you this: what you said about Travis Hunter. To me, he has like some of the best ball skills I've ever seen.
It's
That one
crazy.
catch alone that I watched him make, I think they played, was it like North Dakota State the first game of the year? That last touchdown catch. I said, oh yeah,
Like right side of the end zone.
this is unreal. This is unreal.
Yeah.
No, for real. And like Brian Thomas Jr. is going to be the wide receiver 1, so it like takes the pressure off of him a little bit, where he can just be that secondary contributor. And I mean, you probably heard it earlier, but Trevor Lawrence is the guy that needs to step up, because I mean, he was the number 1 overall pick. I mean, he's got the physicality. He's like, that's why people haven't dropped him in rankings too much, and that's why he's still got the big over $50 million per year contract, because he's got all the tools. It's just he's got to prove it again. Like 2 years ago, he had a pretty good season, but I think the bounce back year is coming. But we're gonna have to wait and see for sure. But thanks again for joining us.
Yeah, send me gamer tags, guys. I play. I'm not good at 2K, or I don't play 2K too much, but I play college football and Madden a lot.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to get back on those. I used to play them back in the day a few years ago.
Big Church, man, it's a pleasure to meet you, man. Malcolm, right?
Yes, sir.
Hey, man, it's a pleasure to meet y'all over there, man. Like, hey, it's a huge honor meeting y'all, brothers.
Yeah, hope I get to see y'all at some games, man. I'm gonna have some stuff coming, so I'll reach out to you guys.
That's a big bet.
Sounds good. Yeah, let's keep chatting.
All right, Touch,
appreciate
much
you joining
love.
us. Nice to meet
Yes,
you.
sir.
All right.
All right. So
MLB.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm gonna give up my Pelicans topic right quick.
Oh yeah.
No.
Jump in.
I'm just gonna jump in on this Kevon Looney sign right quick. I think that this is a huge signing. This is a huge signing for many reasons. 1, veteran leadership. 2, rebounding, and 3, defense. Plus it's a low risk contract. It's a 2-year, $16 million deal. John Dumas, man, he's proven that he is the guy for the CEO position. He has made some big moves, and I think signing Kevon Looney is a big move. I've always been a huge fan. He was a big impact for the Golden State Warriors in that championship run.
Yep.
Now
that pedigree.
He can give us leadership experience, give us championship experience. He would give us game time experience. This is huge because, like I said before, we need a center. And even though we did address that in the draft, but Quinn is a rookie. He still has a lot to develop. But I think signing Kevon Looney, I didn't think we were going to get him. I think this is one of the biggest signings besides when we signed DeMarcus Cousins. I think this is one of the biggest signings in the John Duras era as a CEO. And I love this move, and I really hope that, like I said with Ayton, he's not injury prone. He can give us what we want. I think the future is bright for New Orleans. It's starting to lead towards that way because we got some good draft picks. We got talented. I think the roster is definitely developed completely with the young core that we have with Jeremiah Fears. Man, I'm going to
Derek Queen.
I'm so excited to see what he has. Derek Quinn, like I said, I've watched him in the playoffs and in the tournament over there in Maryland. He was a big, huge factor with that offense. The rebounding, the ball handling, the everything in particular. I'm just ready to see, is this a step in the right direction with a new CEO? Now, this is make or break for Willie Green. I really think the Pelicans should have let him go, honestly. But John Dumas want to give him another chance. I'm okay with it. But, this is make or break for Willie Green. And if with the roster that we have, if we don't at least make it to the play-in or at least the 8th, like we're really the play-in. If we really can make it to the play-in, cool. I'm down with that. That means we're getting somewhere.
Yeah, step forward.
Yeah, but if we don't get there, Willie Green got to go.
One thing I'll add is you mentioned Kevon Looney and just like the championship pedigree. He's been there before. He's got the leadership. So now like you have Zion, who we already know about the off the court issues.
Yeah.
So maybe if assuming that gets sorted, maybe Looney is a really good impact on him. It's just as far as making the right decisions both on and off the court. And then Derek Queen, who some people are saying like shouldn't have spent so much to move up, because if the Pelicans aren't in that play-in tournament, and if they don't end up doing really well, then you're giving up like potentially a lottery pick next year or like definitely a top 15 pick. But yeah, no, I love the Looney signing. It's a really underrated signing just because it can really help develop a guy like Derek Queen, who
Right.
has all the confidence in the world. He said he's the best player in the draft. Like, I love to see the confidence, honestly. Some people would say cockiness or arrogance. It's
He,
professional athletes like that. The confidence is a good thing. You need it.
yeah, it's confidence. It's confidence. That's all it is. And like I said with Jeremiah Fears, aka Zero Fears, that's what I'm gonna start calling him now.
Yep.
The
Great
guy,
one.
the guy is nasty, bro. Like, it was one highlight that I posted where he did a quick spin move and that defender lost him real quick. Man, Jeremiah Fears, I'm really ready to see what he has, because he can. A lot of people say he's giving Kyrie Irving vibes.
Yep, that's what I've heard.
I believe it, because he gives that to me, and it's more coming down to, like, even though we have a good roster, how can Willie Green do the rotation? Because that's also another thing. You can have a good roster and have a coach that don't know how to rotate. But if Willie Green can rotate these guys and these guys can develop at a high level, then we are really getting somewhere down in the Big Easy. And like I said, with Zion really just needs to not do so much. At the same, what I mean by that is,
And stay healthy too. Yeah.
all the dunking and stuff like that, you are in good shape. You lost a lot of weight. That's the first step. But at the same time, you have knee problems and you have ankle problems. I don't mind you dunking, but don't do it so viciously. You don't have to be, LeBron. Be just tone it down a little bit, because what I've noticed that when Zion overworks himself, he hurts himself, and that's what I really need Zion to focus on. Slow down slow down the momentum just a little bit. Like, I'm all for with you being a hungry bull. I ain't got no problem with that, because honestly, that's what the Pelicans need. We need a hungry bull somewhere. But sometimes when a hungry bull gets hungry, it can get hurt later. So I just need Zion to tone it down a little bit. But as far as Kevon Looney, I really hope he can make a big impact on this roster and he can stay healthy. That's the. But Deuce, what are your thoughts on that, bro?
I mean, you see that the Pelicans are building for the future right now. First you get Jordan Poole.
Right.
Then you go in the draft, you get Fears, you get Queen. Then
Yeah.
you go in free agency and get Looney. And I think this is all but better for Zion. And I think it's gonna help him. But I will say this, like you said, he got to tone down on, like, the dunking and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that can lead to some injuries. But I would say I don't think the Pelicans, like, well, I think they can make a play-in spot. I'll say that I think they can contend for a play-in spot. I wouldn't be so like far short saying, like, hey, look, they're like a playoff lock, like, in my opinion, like, opposed to like the Mavericks. Like, I'm gonna say the Rockets and the Lakers for a better example right now. I don't think they're like a playoff lock like the Lakers and the Rockets compared to teams like, just like the Pelicans. But I do think the Pelicans right now are trending upward, and they keep using their draft picks well. And I will say this, although they don't have, what you call it, their next year's draft pick, which
Right.
I will keep saying, I didn't like that. I didn't like that they had to trade away next year's draft pick.
I agree. Unless
But
Queen's like amazing.
Yeah,
yes, I
it's
think
a,
it's a risk. Like, that trade was a risk reward. Queen can be amazing, and that draft pick next year not mean nothing. Or the Pelicans, not play up to standard, and that draft pick could be a top 3 pick, and the Falcons not the Falcons, the Hawks just got to steal. But I
The
will say
Hawks are
this,
looking good too.
yes, but I will say this. I think that the Pelicans are turning upwards. I think you give them at least 2-3 years, and this team could be a contending playoff team. Just keep building around Zion. Keep putting keep building. How would you say? Would you say Zion is like the face of the team right now, still, even though despite all the injuries?
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
what
he
I'm
still
asking.
kind of has to be, I think. Oh yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
I'm asking both of y'all. That's what I'm just asking. Would y'all say
Go ahead.
Zion? Would y'all say Zion is the face of the team to build around? Because that's what I'm
Yeah,
trying
I
to
think.
figure out how to finish my sentence. Because if you have all these players and you're putting them next to Zion, that is good for him. But if he's not the face of the team, and a player like Jordan Poole, who y'all just traded for, and they see him as the face of the team, which we don't know yet, who, like, I don't know, Michael, who would you say is the face of the team? You're the Pelicans fan.
Honestly, I'm still leaning towards Zion, but I'm gonna give, let's say Zion doesn't really, give off that, face of the franchise.
Mm-hmm.
It could be Jordan Poole, it can be
It can either be those two new rookies y'all got.
Jeremiah Fears, yeah.
It could be Jeremiah Fears. It could be Derek Quinn. It could be Alvarado.
I think my main point is though, this team is young, right? If this team does well in the draft picks, whoever does become ending up the face of the franchise, you can keep adding young players to this team. This team is young. They're not old like they were, I'm not old, but like older team, when they had like Brandon Ingram and CJ McCollum, they got younger pieces, they can build for the future. Take notes out the Spurs and the Thunder playbook. But like I said, I think this team could be a playoff contending team. Give it 2 or 3 years. You just got to keep building around whoever is the face of the team.
Right.
A couple things real quick. I think Zion's he will be the face of the franchise until he is not on the team or until there's another number 1 overall pick. Just because he was drafted so highly, he came out of Duke with such a high upside. People always love to make the LeBron James comparisons anytime that next great player comes out. But
player in the draft back then.
Yeah, no, exactly. He was if not the top player, definitely the most talked about player. But you mentioned Jeremiah Fears, and people in general have just been downgrading this draft class. They're like, okay, Cooper Flag and a bunch of role players, but there's a lot of players, including Jeremiah Fears, that have one skill that they're very, very good at, and if they can develop the other skills, then they can be incredible players. And maybe Jeremiah Fears can be a franchise player. I've also heard that Kyrie Irving comparison. He's probably the best dribbler in the draft class, so that playmaking ability, I think, is going to, if Zion stays healthy, if he gets through this legal issues, assuming he's just ready to go, I think Jeremiah Fears is a guy that could unlock him, because that's a guy that can take anyone off the dribble based off some tape we've seen. If he can do it in the NBA, then you're going to get a wide open Zion Williamson, wide open Derek Queen, or Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole is a guy that can definitely extend the offense and get out on the perimeter and knock down those shots. So you never know. It's a lot of potential, and it could go any way, honestly. But I think you're right. I think they're probably a play-in team right now.
Yeah. I just think the Pelicans, I think when I see teams, that are like in the young phase, I think the Thunder and the Spurs did it right with building a team, But that's just what I'm gonna leave my take at. But jumping into our MLB and finishing this off with our MLB segment, we got some shakeups in our top 10, and I'm gonna let Adam go first, give his top 10, but it's been kind of a wild week in the MLB. I saw the Cubs and the Astros play, and that was really for me the battle of who would be my second and third seed or my third and fourth seed in this week's power rankings. And ultimately the Astros won the series 2-1. That does not take away from the Cubs play. They're still an amazing team. But Adam, your top 10?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot of bottom tier teams like the Marlins that went 9-1 last year, 9-1 in this last 10 games. So, I mean, we're seeing bottom tier teams that are making runs right now. We're seeing the top teams, and maybe the Mets just were a little bit of fool's gold where they had the best pitching staff. And then now they have, I think they're 30th in ERA over the last month. So we're seeing a lot of really good teams that are dropping off. Some of it is with injuries, but some of it isn't. And if you have to head out, Michael, it's all good as well. I know you were saying when we got into baseball, you were going to, but no worries either way. But here we go with power rankings. I got Dodgers staying at 1. You could kind of go interchangeably here with the Dodgers or Tigers, but I got Dodgers 1, Tigers at 2. I still have Cubs in my 3 spot, but you could easily put the Astros there. I got Astros at 4, Yankees at 5, but it's really iffy right here because you have a lot of these teams that are 4-6 in their last 10, 3-7 in their last 10, but are still very good rosters. Then after the Yankees, I got the Phillies at 6. That's another one that you could swap them either way with the Yankees probably. Rays at 7. They're right behind the Yankees right now. And depending on today's results, I think both, I know you said the Blue Jays are up earlier. The Blue Jays can tie for first place. The Rays can tie for first place today, depending on what the Yankees do. So Rays at 7, Brewers at 8, Padres at 9, who have been slipping a little bit, but they're still great. Oh crap, I put the Rays twice. So they got Mets at 10, and then Cardinals are just kind of that team that's just on the outside looking in, but they've been a very surprising and very good team lately. But Deuce, power rankings on your end?
I think ours is pretty much like the top part, it's the same. I got the Dodgers, the first spot. Second spot is the Tigers, but that could be very much interchangeable, right? Those are your two best teams in the AL and the NL. Then, like you said, the Cubs and Astros could be so like interchangeable, but this is why I give the Astros a 3 spot. And this, I hate it. I hate to put the Astros this high, but they just beat the Cubs in a 2-1 in the last series, so I think that just gives them the little edge over them. But the Cubs
Yep,
coming at
that's
4.
fair.
I got the Phillies at 5. Now, like you said, this is just after this, where the 5 to 10, this is just kind of where it gets like a little bit iffy, and everybody's going to have their own opinion about where these people play, these teams should land. But when you have these teams like in this spot losing, like let's say beating a good team and then losing a series, I'm gonna give the Rays for example. They were beating up on teams and they just been losing to the Athletics. They won today, but that's just my point here. But at 5, I got the Phillies. At 6, I'm gonna give, and this is probably gonna be hot. I'm gonna give the Blue Jays a 6, and they've been kind of a
I
roll. They
like it.
last 2 series, they beat the Red Sox, who yes, they may not be the best team in their division, but I still think that is at least a solid team. Then right now you're winning the series against out of 4, you're winning the series right now 2-0 against the Yankees, and I think they're up 8-6 right now or 7-6 against the Yankees. So I give the Blue Jays probably that 6 seed right now. Then the Yankees at 7. Uh, you hate to see the Yankees have kind of a little bit fallen like the last month. A couple of series have not gone their way. The Rays at 8. At 9, I would give it to the Brewers, and then at 10, the Padres. And the Mets just slipping out. They've been on a kind of a losing streak. I think they lost the last 4. Yeah, they lost the last 4. They don't look like the same team they did at the beginning of the season, like the team I watched compete with the Dodgers a month ago. So I most definitely think that would just be my top 10. But, this is the MLB. Series can go either way. We see the
Yep.
Rockies. We see the Rockies can win a series, whenever we don't expect it. So I think next week
162 game season. You're gonna have a lot of like
so
5-6 game losing streaks.
next week next week we could see a new bottom 6 through 10 team. So it's just that's what I like about baseball. But concluding this episode, next week y'all don't want to miss out. Another episode 15 of Inside the Locker Room. More NBA, more MLB talk, and going around the league. As always, I'm your host Deuce, or co-host Deuce, co-host Adam, and then we didn't have Benji on the stream today, but he will be back next week. And Michael just left, gave his shout outs to everybody. As always, thank y'all for watching. Make sure to keep tuning in into Inside the Locker Room and share our content. But as always, love y'all guys.